In this lesson, we'll identify strategies you can incorporate into your classroom or building that are trauma-friendly. It's important to remember that these strategies can be used universally, as a class, within a targeted small group of students, or with only one student who may need the individualized attention. To begin with, it's important to note that establishing rapport with students is a universal intervention that can be addressed whether the student lacks social, behavioral, academic, or emotional skills. For students demonstrating social behavior challenges, the teacher should also create a welcoming, safe, and friendly classroom environment where the student feels a sense of belonging, safety, and social opportunities are encouraged. Teachers should also find times for students to showcase their strengths, engage in their interests, and provide opportunities for them to celebrate one another. There are several different ways teachers can incorporate these opportunities into the classroom. For example, they may have an author's chair where students share their stories or illustrations with the class. Maybe the teacher hosts a talent show where students are able to share their talents with the rest of the class. Teachers can also allow students to write, draw, or talk about their own personal interests. And finally, teachers can teach and model empathy and active listening skills for students needing extra social supports. To address emotional challenges, it's important to always use a calm and respectful tone of voice with students at all times. The classroom should also be a safe environment by providing students with opportunities and places to self-regulate. To accomplish this, the teacher can create a calming corner or safe seat within the classroom that consists of visual representations of coping skills, such as taking deep breaths, counting down from 10, doing wall push-ups, or a basket of sensory items that include poppets, glitter bottles, or stress balls. Access to noise-canceling headphones may also be a good tool to have in case the student needs some quiet time or wants to listen to some music to help them self-regulate. Teachers can also help students explore stress management strategies to diffuse tense situations and provide the students with opportunities to process their feelings before, during, and after triggers, which can lead to re-experiencing traumatic events. Mrs. Johnson teaches a 7th grade English class. One of her students, named Corbin, lost his mom in a disastrous tornado 2 years ago, and because of this traumatic experience, Corbin is triggered when the school practices a tornado drill. To address this trauma in the classroom, Mrs. Johnson processes with Corbin before the drill by letting him know about the drill and regularly checking in with him before the tornado drill. During the tornado drill, Mrs. Johnson continues to check in with Corbin. Specifically, she asks Corbin to talk about how he's feeling, including identifying any emotions and bodily sensations that are coming up. Mrs. Johnson also prompts Corbin to use his self-calming breaths if needed. After the drill, Mrs. Johnson checks in once again with Corbin and asks him to describe his emotions, including how his body and mind are feeling. This plan was developed by the school counselor and Mrs. Johnson together. How do we address these behaviors carefully without causing the student to re-experience trauma? To begin with, teachers should always recognize when they're out of their area of expertise and should not be afraid to reach out to the school counselor, psychologist, or social worker. However, there are several practices that teachers can implement as universal trauma-informed practices. For example, teachers are encouraged to establish clear classroom expectations with routines that are predictable. Teachers can also provide students with visual schedules to avoid unexpected situations, provide verbal reminders of upcoming transitions and activities. For example, 5 minutes until we start cleaning up for lunch. When presenting students with tasks, provide clear and concise directions for completion. It's also important to provide students with choices when giving them tasks educators know can lead to problem behaviors. Choices can include letting the student decide where they'd like to complete their assignment. For example, asking students if they want to complete the work at their seat or maybe next to the teacher's desk. Would the student like to use a colored pencil to complete the assignment or an erasable pen? Allow them to decide which assignment to complete first. You can decide which choices are present to the student. However, it's important to keep in mind that choices may not be a one-size-fits-all. In other words, what works for one student may not work for another. In order to address these academic areas of need, it's important to remember some of the previous strategies we've discussed already. That includes the importance of establishing a rapport with the student and creating a safe learning environment. Students should want to be around you. They should see you as if you are like a big chocolate chip cookie to them, where every time you enter the room or you're near a student, they think, "My teacher makes my life better." In her TED Talk, "Every Kid Needs a Champion," Rita Pearson, a retired educator, famously said, Kids don't learn from people they don't like. When the teacher-student relationship is trusting, students may feel safe enough to tell their teachers about their challenges with academics and create opportunities to address them. For students who may not share those needs, there are some universal strategies you can use. For example, you can provide opportunities for the student to repeat and rehearse the directions, provide repetition and encouragement, present information in multiple formats designed to address diverse student needs, and divide tasks into parts. You can allow the students to use graphic organizers, provide them concrete examples of the tasks, and use visual cues. Also, you can offer student opportunities throughout the day for physical movement breaks. Finally, it's vital we discuss the importance of using reactive strategies that do not trigger re-traumatization. Using seclusion, restraints, and threats can not only re-traumatize a student, but also lead to more traumatization. When a student is in crisis, they still need to know you're a safe person. By simply listening and offering support, you will often find the student de-escalates quicker. Remember, behavior is communication. Always ask yourself, what is the student telling you they need?